Alright, what's going on, guys? Vinland Saga, episode 18, Out of the Cradle. Hey, just to let you know, guys, if you guys could subscribe to my channel, I'm getting very close to 400 subscribers. That would be awesome. If you could take a look at one of my Vinland Saga review videos, I made one about the Viking Berserkers, which we see in this episode with Bjorn. That would be cool as well. But with that, let's get to it.
I don't need a choice of voice to judge me. The one and only way I can and always see.
So I'm not going to do a play-by-play like I do in previous episode reviews. Basically, the big plot points that are going on in this episode are the fight between Thorkel and Thorfinn and the talk that Canute is having with the priest. He also has a talk with Ragnar in the afterlife. You know, when Prince Canute is sleeping or presumably maybe knocked out, maybe he had a head injury, he has a vision of Ragnar and he has an interesting conversation with him. So basically, this is a philosophical episode. Even though there is a fight going on between Thorfinn and Thorkel, it's really more philosophical than anything else. Because the two main questions that we're asking are, what is love and what is a true warrior? Now, for Thorfinn, he doesn't really know what a true warrior is. And in the midst of the battle, he's trying to find a way to beat Thorkel, but he just can't seem to devise a plan in which he can limit some of his physical prowess and power. And this is where Thorfinn, I think, is really missing his head in terms of being a true warrior, because his dad was very mindful of when to fight battles that he knew he could win and not fighting battles that he knew he could lose. He was a very strategic man who had a lot of foresight, whereas Thorfinn is just going into battles with a lot of rage and emotion. He doesn't really use his head. I mean, up until this point in the series, I mean, all we really know him for is killing people and not really thinking things through. I mean, he's just got revenge on his mind all the time. So he doesn't really experience the character breakthrough that Canute experiences. Now, his question is, what is love? Now, he feels like Ragnar is a father figure to him because his dad, the King of Denmark, really didn't pay attention to him much. So he's trying to discern who he is as a person and what he wants to do with his life. He wishes that Ragnar was his dad so he didn't have to grow up in the monarchy and have all these sort of burdens placed on his foot. But then after that situation, he has an interesting talk with the priest, and the priest sort of illuminates him to the fact that, look, what you think is love is really not love. People just discriminate. You know, they choose to like you for various reasons. It's mutually beneficial. It's beneficial for one side, but not the other. There's always some sort of caveat or quid pro quo, if you will. And that's basically what the priest is trying to illuminate Prince Canute about. But he's like, there is one sort of love, and that's nature. And the only way humans can attain this is through death. So basically he's saying, look, human life is a mistake. Because Adam took the apple from the tree, God punished mankind, and whatever we do from now on, we're being punished because we have been exiled from the kingdom of heaven. So it gets a little bit theological in that respect. And I gotta say, I wasn't too impressed. I mean, I felt like it made things sort of black and white, especially with the sort of deification of Canute at the end of the episode. They're sort of almost making him like a Christ-like figure in a way, where now he's got this profound knowledge that he understands what love is. And even the priest mentions that when he stands up to the berserker Bjorn and just kind of walks him down with authority and confidence, he's like, I witnessed a miracle. So, you know, I liked when Vinland Saga was making things more gray and you couldn't really discern what was right from what was wrong, because at the end of the day, everyone was sort of wrong in their own way, but they were doing it for their own right reasons, quote unquote right reasons. And now we're kind of making the distinction, well, now Canute has seen the light and he is the ultimate good, and he will shine his light onto the world and eradicate all the wickedness and all the darkness. And that's what I kind of got from the episode, because now Canute, he kind of flips his little his shawl or cape at the end of the episode. And, the name of the episode, Out of the Cradle, suggests that he was a baby before this. He was naive, and he sort of hoped that the world would sort of take care of itself and he wouldn't have to intervene. But now he's become a man. He's become like Jesus in a way, where now he knows better than everyone else and he's going to show them the way. Which, I mean, if you look into any sort of history book, even look at Canute the Great. These guys are, kings in general are not benevolent or altruistic. They may assume that they're that way, but they're just not. They don't take care of their people well. They're always starting wars. There's always bloodshed. There's always betrayal. There's always threats to the throne that you need to get rid of before they get rid of you. So I just don't buy this whole altruistic deification of Canute, where he's gonna be this perfect creature that transcends human limits theologically, emotionally, and mentally. So I just don't buy that premise, to be honest with you guys. So, in that respect, I didn't really enjoy this episode. And in terms of the animation and the fighting between Thorkel and Thorfinn, I felt like it was pretty weak, actually. There were a lot of scenes in which Thorfinn and Canute's face just looked awkward. They tried to show these different camera angles, and everything just sort of looked like it was a hodgepodge. It looked like it was like they kind of put in 60 or 70% of their effort, but just didn't really give it enough detail. So it was, and sometimes Thorfinn's face looks so different from what we've seen in the past that I'm like, is this a different character? I know it's Thorfinn, but goddamn, if they just put him in different clothing, I wouldn't be able to recognize him. It was just a weird episode, and again, the fight between Thorfinn and Thorkel was pretty lackluster. There wasn't really any sort of battle tactics. They just kind of had a few little skirmishes here or there. Thorkel was, using his brute force and power to push Thorfinn around, and that was about it. Nothing else really. Just bad philosophy. I didn't enjoy the deification of Canute, and Thorfinn has still experienced little to no character growth to this point, and the animation was just generally weak in this episode. I love this series, up until about episode 15 or 16, but I would say these last two episodes have really let me down. I hope they sort of get things back on track, but we'll have to wait and see what happens next week. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.